What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to GmiasWorld, and EA Sports has brought back the veteran program. I'm going to go over some of the stuff that's there. Obviously, at this point, many of you guys should know that the overalls are a lot better than what they were last year, but that doesn't really mean that much, simply because everything you have to still spend. All right, and what do I mean by that? It's going to cost you about $3,800 training to get a veterans player, and then after you get that player, if you wanted to quick sell it for another player that you actually wanted, it's going to cost you, it only quick sells for 36. So each time you're going to lose 200 training. All right. Do I like that? No, I do not. But the overalls are higher, and they have to balance out the market so that people are not, able to make training in, certain ways where EA doesn't like it, to where it's like, all right, they're making out too much. So they're going to make it so that, you still have to go out there and spend, but at the same time, they give it to you so that you can kind of re-roll it and only need about 200. But 200 training is still a lot, bro. Like, dudes are really out here just doing whatever they want. It's just like a training factory, and people are finding different ways to make training, which there are. We'll go ahead and discuss that soon. But right here, we're gonna take a look inside the store. Actually, you know what? Let me get my daily pack, dude. I got 150 points. Let's go ahead. No, actually, yeah. Let me just spend it. Ain't nothing I could do with it anyway. You know what I'm saying? 150 points. EA's like, what you doing with that? Like, you ain't doing nothing with that. So let me go ahead and get that for part of my daily objective. And then we're gonna take a look inside of the auction house at all the veterans and which ones you probably would want to take a look at. What players you think would make your team better and all that kind of good stuff. Because realistically, I think the corner was good, but that's all that I saw that was pretty decent. I didn't really see a lot of things. Like Golden Tate, he has a power-up, right? So you can get him to about 89 speed, all right, with a 90 Excel. Is that good? Is that bad? It's up to you depending on what kind of scheme you run. I told you guys, I'm primarily, with the way that the game is right now, everybody's dropping everything anyway. His run block is about 52. He's 5'10". Again, it's decent over... I can't really get mad because it's decent overalls, and we've literally been asking for decent overalls. So we have to go ahead and, figure out, like, what do we really want? You can't complain about everything if you wanted a high overall. Now, the numbers behind them now, this dude has a 60 speed, but then you counter that with 90 block shed, right? So that 90 block shed should make him be able to make a play. Obviously, it all depends on, what you're trying to do with that player, because he's not going to chase anybody down. The dude's just going to be really, really big. More than likely, he's going to get that run stop. He'll get run stop, but probably going to get inside stuff as well. So he's going to be able to do some things that can probably help your team. 352 pounds, that's a lot of weight. So I would probably play him at D tackle and just have dudes screaming from the other sides and see if the weight and the strength really matter. Because that's what I'm still trying to determine. I'll play a game where it looks like strength matters, and then it won't the next game. So the game is very, very... it's difficult to try to understand exactly what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing. I don't think that they understand what they're doing. So we have to figure out ourselves, what works, what doesn't work. Frank Gore is there, but let's go to another one. The Frank Gore, obviously, I just want to point out as well, the veterans, they can obviously get all of the teams that they played for without the power-up. I've seen it on the actual Good Morning Madden where they showed the cards without the power-up. They have the ability to pick the team. Somebody go ahead and verify that for me to make sure. But I know that that's what I saw. For those of you guys that love Frank Gore and you want to see him with the 49ers, you guys can go ahead and do that as well and see what's going on with that situation. But I just wanted to point that out as well. He's over 200 pounds, running around like a savage. I will give EA some credit as far as the truck animation. I trucked the dude the other day and I stayed on my feet and was going for 6. Very, very excited to see it happening. That was one of my major complaints about 20. Once you truck the dude, you're just on the ground. All right, so with these right here, this kind of sort of opens up the market a little bit more, even though these cards don't really make a lot of sense. As far as, like, he's an 84 speed at an 89. If you're going to spend that, I would probably go with another linebacker like Adalius Thomas that you could really know that rushes the passer. There really is no purpose for this guy at this point. And obviously, Adalius Thomas can, be a right outside linebacker or a left outside linebacker. He gets that secondary position, but you have to look at it for what the actual players can do. Will this drive down the prices in certain aspects of the market? It's possible, but they're decent overall cards. That's what my point is, right? We wanted decent overall cards. We wanted cards that we say we could go ahead and use. Now, here goes Jonathan Joseph. This is a card that you probably can use. Now, he doesn't have the power-up symbol on him, so he's just going to stay right there at where he's at. But this is where it comes into play. Like, this is where a lot of stuff where you guys are asking, like, yo, Gmia, what's the point? We could go after AJ Terrell, Trey Waynes with 90 speed. They're team builders. They're like 40K. I can't argue with that. You guys are absolutely right. Is there a chance that this guy's going to play better because he has an 88-man coverage? Probably. If you play a psychopath that wants to come out and do that, he might play a little bit better. But realistically, I've seen people play with AJ Terrell and box, like just have dudes just locked up without the ratings. So I don't know specifically if this guy, you know, is worth that extra 140K over a AJ Terrell or a Trey Waynes, because the game hasn't proven that to us. A lot of the stuff that we watch and see, people have bum corners running around in man-to-man coverage and they just stay with you the whole time. So even though he has that 88 speed, he looks pretty good, whatever. I don't know if it would be in your best interest to go after him and spend the additional money when you have other players that you can use for the time being. If that's something that you're looking to do, if you just want the overall, then there are much better players that you can get for those similar prices. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If we go over to Team Diamonds, right? Where are the Team Diamonds? And we go to cornerback, and you start to evaluate some of the prices, you will see exactly what I'm saying. Now, the veterans look exciting because some of you guys want to just put them on your team or whatever. Like Troy Vincent at 175. Realistically speaking, he's a lot better. You know, if you're going to spend those coins, you might as well spend it on this guy, power him up, and just see what he does. You know, that's just like pure honesty, because I don't want a situation where you guys get the card and you're like, yo, you know, I thought this card was this. No, bro, it was never that. It was never that. And EA is not concerned about it. Look at that, Dre Bly. You know, he's right there as well if you want to spend those upper echelon numbers. And then also you can power them up and make them better. So those are some of the things you have to look at and try to understand more clearly before you go ahead and start doing that, because once you spend that, you're not getting that back. Most of the people are not going to buy, they're not going to buy those cards for that price. They're just not going to buy it because it doesn't make any sense to buy it. So that's something that you guys should definitely kind of, you know, think about. If you were going to try it, maybe you want to get a gameplay in or whatever like that, those prices don't make any sense. So because of that, you're going to have issues with the whole overall situation. Obviously, Asante Samuel's prices come down. You know, he was in the 350s and stuff like that. So these corners will be a lot better, because Asante Samuel, he has an 83-man coverage. He will be D'ing you up after you turn your console off. That's how good this guy's man coverage is when you actually go out on the field. He has that press, but if you give him all kinds of bench press and all kinds of weird stuff, it turns into something else. The game has become something where abilities pretty much dictate what the players are going to do. So whatever player you get, if you're able to put the proper abilities on them, you're not going to have any issue. If you're not able to do that, then the card will just play regular. But that's ultimately what it comes down to. So that card, that 89 card, he doesn't have a power-up. He may not be eligible for a lot of the other cards that these players can get. So you have to be very, very aware of that when you're dealing with the situation, because I don't want you to overspend for cards that don't make any sense. And these are the top corners that are out there right now. Like somebody just bought Dre Bly because they're going to wait for prices to come down of the cards that are really, really, you know, decent. So the veterans overall, it's cool to give us content, but this type of content, depending on the team, you know, buying a Jonathan Joseph, that doesn't make any sense. You know, like basically what's happening is, if you could probably look for cheaper training elsewhere, but that's what this would be like. It'll be like a training situation, but these prices are way too much. 89s, I snipe for about 150, 140, 147, something like that. So even in that regard, it doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have any basis. It's just that the overall is higher because they heard the community's, you know, problems with the fact that the veterans were so low overall. But it makes sense for them to give us this at this point because now they can increase the coin ratio. So it's nothing else it has nothing to do with anything else. It's all about the fact that, look, this is where we are. This is the cash flow that, you know, they want us to use, and that's what's going on. But we have to be smarter. We have to wait it out. We have to see what happens because these cards are garbage. So realistically, they might have helped us, because if we don't buy these cards, they have no choice but to continue to drop in price. Frank Gore doesn't have a power-up. Why are you spending that kind of coin? Unless you have a theme team and you think he'll be good with it, that's still too much. So you could just wait for them to go down. People are going to eventually start letting these prices come down. So for me, I would just be very, very patient with it, or buy other cards right now at similar positions, because it's going to kind of do a little adjustment to the market, and then you go from there. that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to write home about. There's nothing exciting, overly exciting about any of those cards, but it is content. So I have to go ahead and let you guys know what's going on with it, but I don't really feel that it's anything that's like, oh my God, we have to do that right now. So you guys go ahead and make your decision, leave your feedback, let me know what you're thinking, and I'm gonna see you guys and girls next time. One love, y'all.